homie.
What's up, strongest men, women, and children from blocks all around the world? I am my block's strongest man, and the time has come to give you my predictions for 2022 Europe's Strongest Man, hosted, of course, by Giants Live. If you haven't set it up yet, you should come to this Facebook page where they're going to be streaming it live and click the Get Access button right there. Giants Live events have gone up to $7.99 US this year, up from $4.99 last year, which I thought was a ridiculously low price. I think $7.99 is still well worth it when comparing to other pay-per-views that we've seen out there. So definitely lots of nonstop action. Official Strongman, I believe, will be streaming this as well if you have your monthly subscription there. So you can watch it there or here on the Facebook page, but do what you can to watch it. It's going to be an incredible show. Let's have a look at who the competitors are. So thanks again to Strongman Archives, who always provides great past events, upcoming events, event-by-event breakdown, and news in Strongman. So if you haven't, for some reason, found Strongman Archives yet, make your way over there. There's a donation link on the homepage. Shoot them a little donation. They're doing a ton of work there, and they really do deserve it. While you're at it, if you like this spreadsheets that I put together for these predictions and contest analysis, then head on over to My Block Strongest Man on YouTube and join my membership, where I'm trying to provide you with tons of value there. Opening price is super, super cheap for lots of little goodies, and the second tier gets you access to every spreadsheet I've ever made that have taken hundreds, if not thousands of hours of research. So really do appreciate it and really want to give you much more value than what I ask in return as an investment. So check those things out. Athletes for Europe's Strongest Man. First off, Kelvin de Ruyter, who's been all over making his mark in Strongman Champions League in many, many contests from the Netherlands. We also have from Ukraine, Oleksiy Novikov, 2020 World's Strongest Man. Shane Flowers, who made a big splash at Britain's, coming out of the United Kingdom. We have Eyþór Ingolfsson Melsted of Iceland, who until pretty recently had the overhead natural stone press world record. Pau Dwyer out of Ireland, who performed exceptionally in his last comp test. And then we have Rauno Heinla from Estonia, the deadlifting machine. Konstantin Janasha, the Georgian bull, will be joining us at Europe's Strongest Man. And then we have Ivar Šmokstelis from Latvia, one of the fan favorites. Marius Lalas from Lithuania. It'll be really interesting to see him. We saw him compete last year. Did very well, a solid competitor. And then, of course, Pavlo Kordiaka, also from Ukraine. And he's a very well-rounded competitor. We'll see how he does with this crop of Giants Live competition compared to how he did winning the official Strongman Games last year. Then, of course, Luke Stoltman, the defending Europe's Strongest Man champion, also out of Invergordon, Scotland, of course, and coming to try to reclaim or retain his Europe's Strongest Man title. And then, of course, we round it off with Gavin the Bull Bilton, also out of Wales, and it's going to be pretty interesting to see how this all shapes up. Let's have a look at the events. So, of course, Europe's Strongest Man starts off with the Max Log Lift Challenge. So it's a log press for Max. And in addition to the 12 athletes that I've mentioned already, we're going to have two guest lifters, Bobby Thompson and Iron Bibby. Bibby and Bobby. Maybe a coincidence, maybe not. But it's going to be incredible to see two of the best overhead log pressers in the world joining in the fun to try to break the max log press record, along with, of course, the favorite Luke Stoltman there. I think that when I give you the predictions for log, it's not going to be a surprise to you that I picked Luke to win. Of course, not counting the two guest lifters, counting the 12 who are doing all of the events. So that'll be followed up by a deadlift ladder. So 5 different deadlifts, ranging from 300 kilograms to 400 kilograms, and that is for time, of course. Then that'll be followed by a carry and drag. So 40 meters in total, 120 kilogram anchor carry, followed by a chain drag, 20 meters each. And that'll be followed by a returning fan favorite, at least one of my favorites, the power stairs. 15 stairs total, so I'm assuming that's 5 stairs up, back down the other side, and back up one more time. That's my assumption. It's a lot of stairs, though. I don't know the weight yet for the power stairs, but it's going to be very, very interesting to see how everybody does there. Some of these guys have done power stairs before, if you look at their research data, which I'll show you in a moment, and some did not, so I had to kind of compile a deadlift and loading, for example, kind of equals a power stairs, kind of, sort of, not really, but did my best there. And then, of course, we end off with the Atlas Stone Run, which I'm assuming they're going to be sponsored again by Castle Stones like they were so many times last year. 5 implements there, ranging from 120 to 200 kilograms. Those are our events for 2022, Europe's Strongest Man. So let's have a look at the predictions for the Max Log Press. And first of all, I gotta say, I watched Big Loz and Liz's video on Big Loz Official. If you haven't done that yet, you should go head over there and watch their video breakdown before you watch mine, so you can kind of compare and contrast some different approaches to it. But I gotta say, they're my friends, and I was watching them go through so much anguish and turmoil trying to make these picks because it is tough in some cases. And I just wanted to give them a shout out here. Use a formula, guys. Just use some math. And I hate to see my friends go through so much anguish. Just use a formula and rest easy. That's all I had to say about that. So I have Marius Lalas. Research-wise, he did not have great data coming into Max Log Press. And while we're at it, let's have a look at some of that data and see how it breaks down. And you'll see why I came up with the numbers that I came up with. So what I did here is I've compiled data on lots and lots of shows, lots and lots of competitors. And if we take a look here, for example, I have 499 male competitors that I've tracked in my Block Strongest algorithm, 178 unique contests, and 181 unique events. So to give you a point of comparison, Strongman Archives, who's been doing this for a lot longer, they have well over 1,000 contests. So you really should patronize their site if you haven't yet. 178 is a lot, but not compared to them. And I can tell you how many hundreds or maybe thousands of hours of work went into even completing this much of it. So that being said, I have a pivot table here that I filtered out to just the guys I want, just the relevant events I want, when they were available, or for those that weren't relevant ones, like some didn't have log for max, so I brought in log for reps and tried to extrapolate as best as possible. As you can see, Pavlo Kordiaka did do power stairs at Ukraine's Strongest Man, so I had a score for him there. And you see two columns here. For those of you who haven't seen my Block Strongest algorithm before, I take their points earned out of points possible, and that's the percent to max, and that's how you get this score here. And because some of these guys made these achievements at world-level contests, and some did them at continental level, like a Europe Strongest Man, or a regional level, or what I would call one step down from world and international level, like some of the SCL shows, I have an adjuster in there that kind of brings everybody to the same score playing field. So some of these scores will look less than they should because they weren't done at a world level. So this one was a national level, and that's why his perfect score, he actually won this event, becomes a 60 when I compare it to everybody else. So that being said, let's scroll through. We have Middle East Strongest Man. We have a log press for max for Pavlo. Here's his carry medley. He does have a carry and drag as well. He has plenty of Atlas Stone data. And then we move on to Ivar Schmuckstellis, who's done a lot of stuff in SCL as well, doing extremely well in Strongman Champions League. So he has done power stairs also. Here's his log press for max as well. He has a loading race I had to bring in for some guys that didn't have carry and drag, because closest you can find sometimes. He has done deadlift for time, which is what a deadlift ladder is. And as we scroll through here, you can see, he has carry medley, Atlas Stones, and so forth. Here is Alexei Novikov, who did so many shows last year. Not to mention, I have, 2 more years in addition to last year in here, at least, that we're kind of breaking down. And so he has his log press for max. He has loading race. He has deadlift for time. He has carry medley as well, Atlas Stones. He has almost everything we need to compile for him. And, I'll just scroll through these real quickly so you can see them without stopping on each one, because we want to get on to the predictions. Kelvin de Ruyter, he has also done power stairs and done very well on the power stairs. Again, max score 100% if you have the maximum points earned out of points possible. 79, an exceptional score. So he has a log press for max as well. Not a strength for him, but then if you go to deadlift for time, very good there. If you go to Atlas Stones, exceptionally well there. And then I threw in arm over arm for guys that didn't have a drag, like carry and drag. Arm over arm is a type of drag, so I tried to throw that in there where I could. We didn't want to leave guys with no data research, so I tried to extrapolate what I could. Konstantin Janasha has done power stairs and won power stairs at Siberian Power Show. And again, every show that you want to know about that these guys have done in the last 3 years, I have here. So, and some of them a lot more than the last 3 years, but I've narrowed it down to that for this analysis. So you'll see he has a log press for max, which he did very well in at Europe's in 2019. And then, he has his deadlifts, he has his Atlas Stone data, plenty of that data. And of course, we have Shane Flowers, a bit of a newcomer in strongman, but pretty accomplished power lifter. So for Shane, I had to use loading race. I didn't have carry and drag. And he did that at Britain's. And again, Britain's I would consider like a regional show, like one step down from Europe's. And that's why his 80 gets knocked down to a 56. deadlift for reps. I didn't have a deadlift ladder or anything for time for him, so I used that, and we had Atlas Stones, and I had to extrapolate the rest. Here's Rauno Hainla. So he did do power stairs, one of the handful of guys that have done power stairs. He has a log press for max as well in his data. He also has his deadlift for time and reps. He has also carry medley, not a carry and drag, so I had to use that. And then moving on, here's Athor Melstead. So he has his log press data. He has deadlift for time in his data. He has a carry medley for time. So I hope you're getting the point that I have lots and lots of data that I'm pulling from to try to get these numbers and predictions for you. And of course, the defending champion, Luke Stoltman, who has a log press for time, log press for reps, log press for max, all kinds of data for log press, loading races, deadlift for time, which is what we're doing in this contest. He has Atlas Stones as well. I didn't find a lot of carry for him, so I had to use loading race instead. And then you have Pao Dwyer, fan favorite, so he has his log press for max here as well, not one of his better events. And then you have, of course, a deadlift for reps here, not for time. Again, like a little bit below average here, just very slightly. And then you have carry medley for him where he does very well, or did at UK Strongest in 2021. And then plenty of Atlas Stone data for him as well. Marius Lalas, rounding off, we're almost down to the bottom of the list. So here's his data for log for max, loading race, deadlift for reps, and Atlas Stones. So we have some pretty good scores in the middle here and some a little bit lower, but nothing really terrible. Marius pretty well rounded. Gavin Bilton rounds off our list, and here's his data. And he also has done power stairs, above average in power stairs, pretty good there. He has a log press for max, not necessarily great in the last 3 years anyway, when you look at these contests. And, you know, he's got 2 Europes in his list here, so a good point of comparison. Loading race for him, deadlift for reps instead of for time, and then carry medley. He's got a lot of carry medley. So that's all the data I used for the predictions. Let's jump back and see how that all plays out. So if we move up, I gave the 1 point to Marius Lalas. I have Athor Ingolfsson Melstead coming away with 2.5 points. As you saw, the research showed a rating of 25 for him. Gav Bilton, I have tying him at 2.5 points, 25.35. So he edges Athor out slightly in the research, but not every guy is going to get a different weight on the max log events. Then I have quite a few guys tying at 6 points. So Pao Dwyer, Rauno Hainla, Kelvin de Ruyter, and Shane Flowers, I think the research numbers show are all around the same level based on their past performances, so they should be able to split 6 points. I think Ivar Smokstels, as you can see with his 46.88 rating, just a shade better than them performance-wise over the past. I'm giving him 7 points. And moving on up, Alexei Novikov, I think, will come away with 9 points here, a 58.18 rating over his past 3 years. 10.5 points to Pavlo Kordiaka, a 61.25 rating for him. And since it's a half point, it's split with somebody else, and that's Konstantin Janasha. 66.67 points for Konstantin. And then, of course, I have Luke Stoltman winning the max log event with 12 points, an 82.71 rating, and a very, very high rating for him. Not a surprise. Everybody and their mother knows Luke Stoltman is going to perform the best of these 12 athletes at least, and, be even in contention with the 2 guest lifters, Bobby Thompson and Iron Bibia as well. So Luke Stoltman is going to win the max log at the 2022 Europe's Strongest Man. So we move on to the deadlift. And for those of you that were really paying attention, I had a typo. It said Europe's Strongest Man 2021. And my last portion of the video, I fixed it going forward. So I got you. Athor Ingolfsson Melstead will come away with 1 point here. His rating just pretty low for deadlift ladders of this kind. And then we have 2 points going to Luke Stoltman, 24.13 on the research. Pavlo Kordiaka, 3 points for him, 32.14. I think Laz and Liz said something similar, that Luke may give up some decent points here, unfortunately. And Pavlo also not a static monster, a great athlete, though. I have 4 points going to Gav Bilton, a 35.15 rating here. Again, this is for time, so everybody should be, there shouldn't be any ties in the points. Shane Flowers, 5 points going to him, 37.86 on his rating. I have a 39.29 rating for Pao Dwyer over his last 3 years in these type events, 6 points for him. 7 points will go to Marius Lalas, 56 points for Marius. And then I have 8 points going to Ivar Smokstelis, and that will be for a rating of 59.38. A rating of 67.5, so a considerable jump there for Kelvin de Ruyter, and I'm giving him 9 points. Again, we'll have to see how Kelvin does in a Giants Live lineup as opposed to an SCL lineup, But we'll see. I mean, he's really impressive. And again, like, I'm accounting for the fact that his accomplishments weren't done at the very, very top level. So his scoring is still high. So we'll see. Konstantin Janasha, I think, comes away with 10 points here with a rating of 80, an incredibly high rating on deadlift for time or deadlift for rep events. 11 points to Alexei Novikov. And Laz and Liz talked about the dependence on a suit and whether he wears one, and that can affect this. And we'll see what happens, but I'm giving Alexei 11 points for an 86.67 rating. And there's one better, and that's Rauno Heinla, a 93.33 rating. Damn, if I did that well in school, I'd be applauded by my teachers. 12 points for Rauno Heinla on the deadlift ladder. So that's who I think will win the deadlift ladder at the 2022 Europe's Strongest Man. Rauno Heinla, followed by Alexei Novikov, and then Konstantin Janasha. Let's have a look at the next event, the carry and drag. Gav Bilton had a rating of 34.09 for carry and drag or related events, and that's not a terrible score, it's just that everyone else is higher, so 1 point for Gav. 2 points will go to Konstantin Janasha here, 43.16 rating. Again, that's a decent score. It's almost mid-level, but just a lot higher scores from other guys. 3 points to Athor Melstead, so he has a 47.68 rating. Ivar Schmockstellis with a 48.23 rating, 4 points will go to him. 50.39 rating out of a possible hunter for Rauno Heinla. 5 points will go to Rauno in the carry and drag. 6 points will go to Pao Dwyer with a 52.5 rating over the last 3 years. Marius Lalas, I'm giving him 7 points here, so doing pretty well so far for Marius. 54 rating for him. A 56 rating for Shane Flowers over his last few contests. He hasn't been in Strongman for 3 years, but 8 points for Shane Flowers here. 9 points will go to Luke Stoltman, and Luke with a 62.28 rating, a very good rating there. 10 points I'm giving to Alexei Novikov in the carry and drag, 76.25 rating for Alexei. And we get over 80 here, 80.77 rating for Kelvin de Ruyter. So that name's starting to make a home near the top of my list. I know I may get some flack for it, but hey, you know, it doesn't matter if you're wrong. I think Laz said that to Liz on their video as well. Nothing will happen if you're wrong, and I'm with that too. It's all in good fun, right? So 11 points for Kelvin, and the winner, Pavlo Kordiaka, with a rating of 90, could possibly win the carry and drag. So that being said, let's have a look at the next event, the power stairs, which I haven't seen in quite a long time, and I'm very excited to see. Let's have a look at what I think will happen there. So I have Athor with a rating of 25.71, 1 point going to Athor Melstead, 2 points going to Gav Bilton, who has a considerably higher rating at 43.75, but again, other guys just with higher ratings. This is actually a really good rating to only be worth 2 points. 46.93 out of a possible 100 again, 3 points to Shane Flowers. 4 points will go to Pao Dwyer, 51.89 points. 55.08 rating for Luke Stoltman, and that's good for 5 points in the power stairs. 60 rating for Pavlo Kordiaka, who actually did power stairs, and that's good enough for 6 points for him. I'm giving 7 points to Alexei Novikov, a 67.34 rating. 67.5 rating for Marius Lalas, 8 points for him. So again, doing pretty well toward the top half or top third of the standings on a lot of these events. 71.25 rating for Kelvin de Ruyter, 9 points to Kelvin. A 72.12 rating for Rauno Heinla, so Rauno I think comes away with 10 points here. A 90 rating, amazing that 90 isn't the winner, but 11 points will go to Ivar Schmockstellis in this event. And then the winner, Konstantin Janasha, I expect to win the power stairs, a perfect 100 rating. He won it the last time he did it. 12 points to Konstantin Janasha. So, your top 3 in the power stairs. Number 1, Konstantin Janasha. 2, Ivar Schmockstellis. And 3, Rauno Heinla. That being said, let's have a look at the Atlas Stones predictions. So I have Marius Lalas with 1 point. Again, a 32 rating isn't a great rating, but it is for just 1 point. It's we'll see how high these go. 37.2 rating for Gav Bilton, 2 points for him. A 45.82 rating for 3 points for Shane Flowers. I think Athor Melstead comes away with 4 points on the Atlas Stones, a 46.67 rating. 48.5 rating for Pao Dwyer. I think he comes away with 5 points. 6 points will go to Pavlo Kordiaka, 61.76 rating for him. A 64 rating for Rauno Heinla. He comes away with 7 points on the Atlas Stones. 8 points to Konstantin Janasha, 70 rating for him, and Konstantin finding himself near the top of the list again. 9 points will go to Luke Stoltman, a 72 rating for Luke, trying to defend his championship here. 10 points go to Ivar. Schmuckstel is also finding himself consistently near the top third here. 77.39 rating for Ivar's. An 80 rating for Alexei Novikov, so I'm giving him second place or 11 points here, and that means the winner of the Atlas Stones or Castle Stones will be Kelvin de Ruyter. Again, I might take some heat for this, but he's a giant guy, big wingspan, has done well in stones in the past. Let's see if he can do well with this set of stones. An 86.79 rating. Kelvin de Ruyter, Alexei Novikov, and Ivar Schmuckstel is the top three in the Atlas Stone run. Let's see if that comes to pass, and let's take a look at the overall standings. So I have a little surprise for you in the overall standings predictions. I'm actually not going to give you my predictions. I'm going to give you 3 different ways to look at the math and let you draw your own conclusions. So, in the traditional manner of adding all the points together, here's how it lays out. I'm not saying these are my final predictions, but here's how that math would lay out. 8th Thor Ingolfsson Melstead in 11th place with 11.5 points. That's 2.5 on the max log, 1 on the deadlift ladder, 3 on the carry and drag, 1 on power stairs, and 4 points on castle stones. Tied for 11th place, Gavin Bilton. That's why we don't have a 12th place. Also 11.5 points. 2.5 on max log, 4 on deadlift ladder, 1 on carry and drag, 2 on power stairs, and 2 on the Atlas Stones. 10th place to Marius Lalas for 24 points, so a big jump in total points there. 1 point on max log, 7 on deadlift ladder, 7 on carry and drag, 8 on power stairs, and 1 on Atlas Stones. 9th place is Shane Flowers, so that's 25 points total, 6 of them coming from max log, 5 points on the deadlift ladder, 8 on the carry and drag, 3 on power stairs, and 3 on the Atlas Stones. Pao Dwyer in 8th place with 27 points. 6 points on the max log, 6 on the deadlift ladder, 6 on the carry and drag, very consistent so far, 4 on power stairs, and 5 on castle stones, so pretty consistent all the way through. 8th place, Pao Dwyer. 7th, Luke Stoltman, so I don't see Luke defending his title, at least not if you look at the math in this way, but again, this isn't my prediction. I'm going to give you the math 3 ways and let you decide. So, 37 points for Luke, so a 10-point jump over 8th place, 12 points on the max log, winning that event, 2 on deadlift ladder, 9 on carry and drag, doing very well there, 5 on power stairs, and 9 on castle stones, doing very well there as well. 6th place, Pavlo Kordiaka, by just a half a point. 10.5 points on the max log, 3 on the deadlift ladder, winning the carry and drag, 6 points on power stairs, and 6 on castle stones. 4th would be Ivar Schmuckstelis, and that's because there's a tie for 4th. So Ivar's and Rauno, in this way, looking at the math, you would have a tie for 4th place at 40 points. Max log, 6 for Rauno, 7 for Ivar's. Deadlift ladder, you have Rauno winning the deadlift ladder, and 8 points for Ivar Schmuckstelis. Carry and drag, 5 for Rauno, 4 for Ivar's. Power stairs, both of them I think will do very well. 10 for Rauno, 11 for Ivar's. And Atlas Stones, 7 points for Rauno Heinla, Rauno Heinla, and 10 points for Ivar's Schmuckstelis. Konstantin Janasha in 3rd, and that's 10.5 points on the max log, 10 on the deadlift ladder, 2 on carry and drag, 12 on power stairs, and 8 on castle stones for a total of 42.5 points. 2nd place to Kelvin de Ruyter with 47 total points, 6 on the max log, 9 on the deadlift ladder, 11 on carry and drag, 9 on power stairs, 12 on castle stones. And the winner, by this way of computing it, Alexei Novikov with 48 points, 9 on the max log, 11 on the deadlift ladder, 10 on the carry and drag, 7 on the power stairs, and 11 on castle stones. Now, I told you I had a surprise for you. That's how the points breakdown happens, but some of you may say, these guys have gone head-to-head in contests before. You have to take into account how they've done against each other head-to-head. And I did, so here's a matrix of how they've all done against each other head-to-head. And how did I get that? Well, I used the versus mode of my Block Strongest algorithm. Let's have a look. So as you can see here, I made a pretty awesome tool. Again, if you join my level 2 membership on my YouTube channel, you get this tool. You get every spreadsheet I've ever made, including this tool, where you can basically type in any 2 athletes, and it'll tell you every contest they've done in their career that I've tracked. Like some of them, I don't have their whole careers yet, but as I continue to add them, you get that at no additional cost. And it'll say match if they've competed against the other guy at that contest, and basically who won it. So in this case, I have Gav Bilton and 8th Thor Melstead. 2020 World's Strongest Man is something they both competed in. Gav Bilton placed 23rd Aethor 17. So Aethor would have the higher placing, and then it'll look at everything they've ever done against each other and give you a compilation of their whole careers. Again, everything I've tracked so far. So Gavin Bilton's average placing when they've gone head-to-head, 21, Aethor 13.5. Gav Bilton, 0 head-to-head wins against Aethor. Aethor, 2 head-to-head wins against Gavin. And you can put in anybody's name, right? So if you say, for example, I don't know, Brian Shaw, and let's say Jerry Pritchett. It'll compute anybody, right? So Brian Shaw has 6 head-to-head wins against Jerry. Jerry has 3 against Brian. Brian's average placing when he's in a contest with Jerry, 5. Jerry's around 9. So a lot of awesome detail here that I've used a lot of hundreds of hours to put together for you that I think you'll really enjoy. But that's how I came up with this matrix. So if you look at Alexei Novikov and see how he's done against everybody else in the contest, obviously he never faced himself, so you see a gray bar there. But Alexei with 2 wins over Konstantin, 7 over Rauno, 5 over Ivar, 0 over Pavlo, 7 over Luke Stoltman, 5 over Pau Dwyer. He didn't face Shane Flowers before. 1 win over Marius, 5 over Gavin Bilton, 2 over Aethor, and so forth. And so if you were to look at that, it matches, right? So Alexei has 2 wins over Konstantin. And if you look at Konstantin, he has 1 win over Alexei. So you can kind of get the matrix of how these guys have done against each other. And what I've done is put in a total. So you have Alexei has a total of 34 wins. Of course, again, not his whole career, but what I've tracked against these other guys that he's facing at Europe's, which places him first. It's more wins against the other guys than any number of wins that any of these other guys have against each other. The second highest is Luke Stoltman. So now if you take that into account and blend it in, it bumps Luke Stoltman up a lot. So we said Luke in the traditional sense would be 7th based on his total points of where I thought they would be. But when you take into account how he's done against these other guys in the past, it's a different story. Has the second highest number of wins against these other guys out of the whole crop here. So if you were to judge the guys this way, it would be Alexei Novikov, then Luke Stoltman, and then Ivar Schmockstellis on the podium. 4th place would be a tie between Konstantin Janasha and Rauno Heinla. And then 6th place would be Aethor Melstead, tied with Pau Dwyer. You'd have 8th place going to Gav Bilton, a tie in 9th place with Marius Lalas, Pavlo Kordiaka, and Kelvin de Ruyter. And then 12th place would go to Shane Flowers because he's new. He hasn't beaten a lot of these strong men yet, right? And so that's how it would go if you did it this way. Now, option 3. What happens if you blend the two things? They're both important, right? How have these guys done in the past in these events is important, and how many of these guys have they beaten in the past is also important. So let's put it all together and see if that's the way you like to make your prediction. That's this blended place. And the way that would work is I took an average, which are these numbers, and obviously a place can't be a decimal, so I rounded them all up. Your winner, if you take both things into consideration, is still Alexei Novikov, but now Konstantin Janasha is in 2nd place, up from 3rd here and up from 4th here, right? So your blended place, taking those two things into account, Alexei Novikov, Konstantin Janasha, a tie for 3rd between Rauno Heinla and Ivar Schmockstellis. 5th place is Luke Stoltman, so Luke gets bumped up from that 7th up to 5th place. 6th place, Kelvin de Ruyter, maybe a little bit more realistic placing for him, given that he hasn't done, he's spent most of his time in SCL and not Giants Live. 7th place I have going to Pau Dwyer, and then 8th place would be Pavlo Kordiaka. 9th place would be Aethor Ingolfsson Melstead. 10th place, a tie with Gavin Bilton and Marius Lalas. And that leaves 12th place to Shane Flowers. Again, only because he hasn't had time to beat a lot of these guys yet. So you judge, you predict. I'm not giving you my predictions. I'm just giving you 3 ways to do the math, and you tell me which one you like. Thanks again for joining me on my blog Strongest Man for the Europe's Strongest Man 2022 predictions. And of course, as always, wait a minute. it just occurred to me I should tell you what's coming up on the channel. Did you guys watch the Eddie versus Thor fight? The ring announcer, Big Mo, Cody Momart's coming on this Monday night on the channel. So we'll have a Monday, we'll have it recorded, have it out probably the next day or the day after that. Keep your eye out for that. And then we're going to have a bunch of the pro, either strongmen or strongwomen or both, from the upcoming Rainier Classic this summer coming on the week after that. If you haven't caught Maxime Boudreau and Sam Beliveau and JF Corona on my channel recently, go back and check those out. So lots of great stuff. And of course, until next time, ciao, homie.